Well, shalom, everyone. I am Jerry Heelan with Yahweh's Evangelical Assembly. We reside here at 905 Stewart Street, Atlanta, Texas, 75551. You can mail us, get in contact with us by mailing us at Post Office Box 31, Atlanta, Texas, 75551. And you can call us 903-796-7420. You can actually call me on my cell phone also, 903-826-1804. We have a website at yea777.org. A lot of our literature is posted there, big bulk of it. And you can also contact me by email at jerryheelan@sbcglobal.net. Shalom, greetings. This is actually pre-Shabbat. You can see the sun is still shining out here, but by the time I get through with this message, it will be Shabbat. So I'm not going to say Shabbat Shalom yet, but I will shortly. Do wish everybody will have a tremendous and great Sabbath. But before I get into anything, I want to, of course, go before Yahweh in prayer and make it official, turn it over to Him, put it in His hands so that He will be the one glorified. Father Yahweh, thank you so much for this sixth day of the week in the up and coming Shabbat. We thank you so much that you have called us out of this world and you've taught us so many marvelous things, not because we're so good, not because we're so righteous, but because you're the one who is so good and so righteous. And you singled us out because, according to Paul, we are the weak and the base of the world in order to confound the wise, the highly intelligent, the very smart. So here we are, Father in heaven. Here I am, a weak and a base person. And I thank you for that awesome calling. And I thank you that you are who you are. And that, Father in heaven, you've just blessed us so tremendously. I know that my wife and I are towards the end of our life, and you blessed us through our life because you called us early in our lives. And we thank you so much for that. And Father in heaven, I give you thanks and praise for the opportunity that I have to be able to speak to others, to share your word with others. Just ask you to be with me, to open my mind, my heart, my spirit, my mouth through your spirit to speak, Father in heaven, because if it's not you doing it, it's worthless. And also, Father in heaven, ask you to open the minds and hearts of our brothers and sisters. And Father, you know, we got a good number of people on Yahweh's Truth in Scripture now. Hope and pray that it will feed so many of them. We have over 800 members now. And I've got well over 100 members on YouTube. And so, Father in heaven, just ask you to be with us, to place your blessings upon us. And now, Father in heaven, feed us. We are the sheep of your pasture. We are the poor of your flock. And so we're needing to be fed, and we're asking you to feed us now with your awesome, marvelous, and wondrous word. And please do so. And Father in heaven, please remember also that we're in a time of national and actually worldwide disaster that's been brought on by some wicked and evil people. And we know that these days are coming, and they're going to get worse and worse, and things aren't going to get better. They may temporarily get better, but they're going to be worse and worse because those who have the power, those who have the wealth, those who have the greatness, Father in heaven, are the ones who are withstanding you and are contriving many wicked and evil things. We just give you thanks, praise, honor, and glory, and put all things into your capable hands for your peace, for your safety, for you to lead, for you to guide and lead our leaders and us too. And so we put ourselves into your capable hands and do so, Father, in by and through the name of your Son, Yahshua the Messiah. Hallelujah. Amen. Well, brethren, this is the Shabbat. I want to go over here to the book of Isaiah, chapter 2. And the Shabbat is a memorial of the creation. And we all know that. Those of us who have been in the body of the Messiah for years and years, we all know that, don't we? So let's go over here to the book of Isaiah chapter 2, and let's just look at this, because there are things that are going on in this world, brethren, things that aren't good. I've heard a lot of things. I cannot divulge everything that I've heard on YouTube or on the internet or in the, or whatever. It's just far too much. And you know, I'm working on a newsletter, but you know, it's getting harder and harder for me to work on that newsletter. And the reason why is because by the time you write about something, it's so old, it's so overdue, it's so past. And new things are coming up, and it's making it harder and harder to even report on things. Well, anyway, you know, the thing about it is we live in a world that is continually changing, but we have Yahweh's word, and Yahweh's word stands fast. His word is truth. It doesn't change, does it? So it says over here in the book of Isaiah, chapter 2 and verse 1, the word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. Well, that's good news. That is good news. And brethren, that hasn't happened yet, but it's going to happen. And many people shall go and say, come you, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the Elohim of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, the Torah, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. More good news, right? Yep. Not happening yet. I mean, there's a lot of people who seem to think that it's happened and is happening because of the regathering of the Jews over in Jerusalem. But the time is not quite yet. Verse 4, and he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many peoples, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. O house of Jacob, house of Yaakov, come you, and let us walk in the light of Yahweh. Well, the light of Yahweh is his truth. The light of Yahweh is his son. Verse 6 kind of changes the tune, though. Therefore, you have forsaken your people, the house of Yaakov, because they be replenished from the east. And this word east is Kedem. And what happens in the east? You have the sunrise every morning. Yeah, the east is this way over here for us. And you have the sunrise every morning. The sun comes up, and now the sun is setting over here in the west. Yeah, they're replenished from the sunrise. You remember those over in the book of Ezekiel talking about the Jews, the group of Jews who had their back to the temple, and they were worshiping the sun in the east. Yep, there you go. So they're replenished from the east, from the sun rising, and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. And I've done a little study into that, and this could mean the child of the strange woman. The child of the strange woman. I think that when we go through and we look at Christmas, and we see that little child that everybody loves to adore, little baby in a crib, supposed to be in the manger, but you know, that's a child of the strange woman. That's not Yahweh's son. That's a false sun god. Their land is also is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made. Now they worship the work of their own hands. And Brad, that's where we are in this world today. People are worshiping the work of their own hands. Especially the higher up mucky mucks, the ones who did the computers, the ones who did the internet. They're so pleased with themselves and they're so proud of themselves. And of course, they're all a bunch of thieves also. They have it figured out so they can steal from you. Don't think for a minute they don't have it fixed up that way. They will steal from you. They are thieves. Your leaders, even your leaders, are thieves. They're liars and they are thieves. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 1. This is the words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priests that were in Anathoth in the land of Benjamin, to whom the word of Yahweh came in the days of Josiah, the son of Amon, king of Judah, in the 13th year of his reign. Now here he is. He's coming in the time of Josiah, and Josiah was a righteous king. But even under the righteous king, there was all kinds of wicked things going on. Because the hearts of the people weren't right. Unto the end of the 11th year of Zedekiah, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, unto the carrying away of Jerusalem captive in the 5th month. Then the word of Yahweh, Debar Yahweh, came unto me, saying, before I formed you in the belly, I knew you, and before you came forth out of the womb, I sanctified you, and I ordained you a prophet unto the nations, unto the Goyim. Well, hey, the Jews don't like to be called Goyim, but I guarantee you one thing, if you look in the scriptures in the Hebrew, they're called Goy. They're called Goy and Goyim, Israel and Judah, as well as the other nations of the world. Then said I, Adonai Yahweh, behold, I cannot speak, for I'm a child. But Yahweh said unto me, say not, I am a child, for you shall go to all that I shall send you, and whatsoever I command you, you shall speak. Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with you to deliver you, says Yahweh. Then Yahweh put forth his hand and touched my mouth. And Yahweh said unto me, behold, I have put my words in your mouth. See, I have this day set you over the nations and over the kingdoms to root out and pull down and to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Jeremiah, what do you see? And I said, I see a rod of an almond tree. Well, the interesting thing about the almond is the very first tree that blooms and bears fruit in the land of Israel, in the land of Canaan, Palestine, whatever you want to call it. As a matter of fact, it blooms so early. It's a type of first fruits, brethren. It's a type of first fruits, and it was incorporated, almonds were incorporated into the menorah, the light in the sanctuary of Yahweh. Then said Yahweh unto me, you have well seen, for I will hasten my word to perform it. It blooms so early, and Yahweh is using that as a type because he says, I'm going to hasten my word to perform it. And the word of Yahweh came unto me the second time, saying, what see you? And I said, I see a seething pot, and the face thereof is toward the north. Then Yahweh said unto me, out of the north and evil shall break forth upon all the inhabitants of the land. For lo, I will call all the families of the kingdoms of the north, says Yahweh, and they shall come, and they shall set every one his throne at the entering of the gates of Jerusalem, and against all the walls thereof round about, and against all the cities of Judah, and I will utter my judgments against them, touching all their wickedness, who have forsaken me and have burned incense unto other Elohim and worship the works of their own hands. Worship the works of their own hands. That's one of the problems that we have. Let's go to the book of Acts chapter 7. And here is what Stephen, Acts 7 and verse 41. And they made a calf in those days. This is when Israel came out of Egypt, of course. And Moses was up in the mount, right? And they made a calf in those days and offered sacrifice unto the idol and rejoiced in the works of their own hands. Rejoiced in the works of their own hands. And brethren, that's one of the problems that we have in this country and in this world. People worship the works of their own hands. Now, there was a program on, I can't remember what, I think it was the History Channel last night. And it focused on the 7 wonders of the world, the 7 wonders of the world. And those wonders were all built by the hands of man, right? What are those 7 wonders of the world? What are the 7 wonders of the world that they proclaim so mightily and so wondrously and so greatly? Well, one's the Great Pyramid of Egypt. And it's still there. And guess what? We worship it. Not we, but I mean, basically, overall, the people are worshiping that blooming pyramid. It was made by the hands of man, and it's so perfect. It's set so right. It took an awesome person with awesome understanding to be able to set that thing right and to build that thing in all of those blocks there. You know, worshiping the works of men's hands, declaring the works of men's hands. Number 2 is the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Well, where are they now? They're destroyed. Number 3 was the Colossus of Rhodes. But where is it? They don't even know what it looked like. They have to surmise it was built to Helios, in other words, built to the sun god. So it was a Colossus that was built to be worshipped, to signify something that they worship. The sun, Helios. The 4th one is the statue of Zeus at Olympia. Guess what happened to that big old statue? I mean, it was a huge, monstrous thing, and they proclaimed the works of their hands. And guess what? It burnt down. The whole temple and everything burnt up. Do you think that's possibly the wrath of Yahweh being poured out upon that stupid statue? Do you think the Greeks are going to quit worshiping Zeus? Do you think our world is going to quit worshiping Zeus? Not yet. Not yet. Then there was the temple of Artemis. Another worshiping false goddess Artemis. One that they worship. They worship this, that was number 5, wonder number 5. And they worship this temple of Artemis, but it was burned up with fire also. I think Yahweh's trying to send a message. Then there was a lighthouse of Artemis, lighthouse of Alexandria, and that was built by a Ptolemaic pharaoh. Well, it's not there anymore. And then there's the number 7 is the mausoleum at Halicarnassus. The mausoleum, the grave. A man, a king, built this huge grave for himself, and it became one of the 7 wonders of the world. Well, you know, brethren, most of those aren't even there yet. Hold on, I got a message. Close the blinds behind me. I guess that's a little better. But the Great Pyramid is still extant, and we post it. It's posted on the back of our dollar bill, and I guarantee if you are a Freemason, you adore that pyramid. Matter of fact, let's go to Isaiah 65:11. Because Yahweh says, but you are they that forsake Yahweh, that forget my mountain, and prepare a table for God. A table for God. That's the Hebrew word that's there. The Hebrew word that is there is God. And you pour out a drink, or you prepare the table for God, and that you furnish the drink offering to Meni. Meni is the numberer, was a numbering system, a numberer, and that's the what we get our word money from. Money, Meni, numbered. We number our money, right? Penny, nickel, dime, quarter, $half, as the old saying used to go in school: 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, $1. You know. Okay, so you pour out a drink offering unto that number. So what do we have on our money? In God we trust. Our money is our fortune. God is the deity of fortune, and so what we have on our money is in God we trust. So in that fortune we trust, which is money. And it has the pyramid of Egypt on the $1 bill, the back of the $1 bill. So men regard the works of their own hands, brethren, but they refuse to regard the works of Yahweh's hands and his most marvelous and wondrous creation. But that's what this Sabbath is for, brethren. This Sabbath coming up is the second Sabbath in the countdown to Pentecost, to Shavuot, the Feast of Shavuot, the Feast of Sabbaths, I like to call it, because it's 7 Sabbaths, must be complete, must be perfect, must be blemish-free, 7 Sabbaths, and then the morrow after the 7th Sabbath, you will observe the Feast of Weeks, which is Shavuot, Pentecost. So men looks to the worship of his hands, and I've seen so much in what men are doing. You know, I was listening to a video today of this woman, and she had found some things that they had been figuring on doing back in the 50s, and then in the 70s and 80s, and on up until today. And what they're doing is they are preparing to eliminate basically humanity. They want to eliminate humanity. They they claim that humans are just too slow. Uh, they're too uncontrollable, not as controllable as they want them to be. So, what they want to do is they want to begin to develop these. What do they call them? Uh, they had them in one of these TV shows. These people who were attached to machines, and they became a part of the machine. And all can't remember the name of the word right now. It's kind of evading my mind. Well, let's go back to Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 5. What is the Sabbath for? The Sabbath is for us to memorialize Yahweh's creation. I mean, when I was growing up and when I was a kid, I really wanted to get me a job, and I wanted to work with my hands, and I wanted to make some money, honey. I wanted to make some money. And so I got jobs, paid minimum wage or less, back then. Of course, I was living at home and didn't have all that many expenses. So whatever I made, I generally was able to put in my pocket. I don't remember my mom and dad even asking me for any kind of help or anything. My dad was doing pretty good at that time for us, anyway. Let's look here at Isaiah chapter 5. Let's just pick it up in verse 1. Now I will sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved has a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. And he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof and planted it with the choicest vine and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress there. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, between me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Brethren, when you look at America, what could be done more for America than what Yahweh has already done for us? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, it brought forth wild grapes. Isn't that what's happened even with us in America? And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down. And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. For the vineyard of Yahweh of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, and behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry. Yahweh has done he did all he could for them. He gave them riches, he gave them wealth, he gave them the most productive land on the face of the earth. And I will lay it waste, shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that there rain no rain upon it, for the vineyard. Okay, I've already read that, but let's drop down here to Verse 7, the last part, and he looked for judgment, but behold, oppression, for righteousness, but behold, a crime. I already read that. Woe unto them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth. Now, brethren, it's kind of lonesome being out there by yourself. Do you know that? Kind of lonesome being out there, I would think. Wouldn't you? In my ears says Yahweh of hosts, of a truth, many houses shall be desolate, even great and he's saying, whoa, even great and fair without inhabitant. Yea, 10 acres of vineyard shall yield one bath, and the seed of an homer shall yield an ephah. In other words, ephah is a tenth of a homer. And so you'll sow a homer of seed. It's like sowing a bushel of seed, and you only get 1/10 return. Only 1/10. And that, guess what? That 10th belongs to Yahweh, doesn't it? Yeah. Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, till the wine inflame them. And the harp and the viol, the tabret and pipe and wine are in their feast, but they regard not the work of Yahweh. They regard not the work of Yahweh. They worship the work of their own hands. They regard the work of their own hands. They worship the work of their own hands, but they regard not the work of Yahweh. And so look, we had seven wonders of the world built by the hands of man. Neither consider they the operation of his hands. They deny that there's a creator. A creation. Well, they don't like to call it creation, but it made itself. It evolved out of nothing. Out of nothing. Well, brethren, I know growing up and all, I wasn't focused on anything like this. I didn't think of the creator all that much. Maybe not any. I don't know. Didn't start considering that until a little bit later in life, and it wasn't too much later because Yahweh started working with me when I was about 25, 26 years old. But until that time, I didn't regard the work of Yahweh's hands. I mean, I want to get out there and do my own work, and I looked at all these other things, and I would have stood aghast at the seven wonders of the world, and I would have stood aghast at all these big towering buildings that all these big rich men are building. Down in Houston, you got skyscraper. We call them skyscrapers, right? Because they scrape the sky. And brethren, I saw those trees going up down there, and just about every one of them had a little evergreen tree. I don't know how big it was, but they started out on the bottom floor with an evergreen tree, and then as the building continued to rise up, well, the evergreen tree was on top of that building. I just looked at that and looked at that and looked at that, and I never could figure out why are they putting a tree on top of it? Well, guess what? I found out that tree was called a Nimrod tree. Babylon. Nimrod is the one who built the Tower of Babel. Was building it. He was building it, and so these are all Masons, brethren. These are all Masons, and they're the ones who put the Greek or the Egyptian stuff on the back of the dollar bill too, by the way. It's all Freemasonry. All Freemasonry. So as their building was going up, they had this Nimrod tree, and they and the spirit of Nimrod were building these towers, these skyscrapers to scrape the sky. And they gloried in the works of their hands. They regard not the work of Yahweh, neither consider the operation of his hands. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. No knowledge. Brethren, I want to run over here to Job chapter 34. This is chapter 34 is Elihu. What is it? The words of Elihu. I can't remember what he's called. Elihu the son Tishbite or not. I don't think he's the Tishbite, but it's his name is Elihu, and he sat there and he listened to all these older men arguing Job and them back and forth and back and forth. So let's look here at 34 verse 16. If now you have understanding, hear this, hearken to the voice of my words. Shall even he that hates right govern, and will you condemn him that is most just? Is it fit to say to a king, you are wicked, and to princes, you are unrighteous? How much less to him that accepts not the persons of the princes, nor regards the rich more than the poor, for they all are the works of his hands. Those men building those buildings, those men that built these 7 wonders of the world, they're all the works of Yahweh's hands. In a moment shall they die, and the people shall be troubled at midnight and pass away, and the mighty shall be taken away without end. Yeah, we're all going to die, right? So what is so great about the works of our hands? For his eyes are upon the ways of men, and he sees all his goings. There is no darkness, nor shadow of death, where the workers of iniquity may hide themselves. For he will not lay upon man more than right, that he should enter into judgment with El. He shall break in pieces mighty men without number, and set others in their stead. I don't care how strong a man is. I don't care how bright he is, how intelligent, how mighty he is, what he knows, who he knows, what he has. He's gonna die. He's gonna die. He strikes them, as this is verse 26, as wicked men in the open sight of others, because they turned back from him and would not consider any of his ways, so that they caused the cry of the poor to come unto him, and he hears the cry of the afflicted. Man, you know, uh, this is they don't consider the works of Yahweh's hands. They respect man, they respect men, they respect each other. They don't respect Yahweh. Isn't that amazing? But let's go to Psalms chapter 28. Unto you will I cry, O Yahweh, my rock, and not be Be not silent to me, lest if you be silent to me, I become like them that go down into the pit. Hear the voice of my supplications when I cry unto you, when I lift up my hands toward your holy oracle. Draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their hearts. Give them according to their deeds and according to the wickedness of their endeavors. Give them after the work of their hands. Render to them their desert, what they deserve. Because they regard not the works of Yahweh, nor the operation of his hands. Seven wonders of the world they will regard. They will regard those building all the skyscrapers and all the big buildings around the world, and doing what we would think of as majestic works. And all of these these people who are building rockets and wanting to fly off to the moon or to Mars or whatever. Let me tell you something, brethren. People that want to do those things, they're so taken up with themselves. So taken up with themselves. How in the world do they think they're going to live in a place that has no atmosphere? Do they think they can create atmosphere? Yahweh is the one that creates the atmosphere. Man can't create an atmosphere. He's got to build a bubble. You build a little bubble, but a lot of things can go wrong with that bubble too, because you have to have pumps, you have to have purifiers, you have to have machines that produce oxygen and other things. They regard not the works of Yahweh, nor the operation of his hands. He shall destroy them and not build them up. Brethren, I want to regard Yahweh, and I want to regard the operation of his hands and the work of his hands. We are the work of his hands. And as David said, I am awesomely and marvelously made. All these men that do all these great works, and what happens to the great works is as soon as they're built, they start aging, they start oxidizing, and you have to keep renewing them. You have to keep redecorating, remodeling, don't you? Because they get old and they get worn out, because they're made by the hands of men. Let me ask you something. How many of those men have created a blade of grass or a leaf on a tree or even a tree? They're ignorant. Yeah, they can build the things according to the understanding of man, but they can't even begin to build a new heart, build new muscle. Oh, they think that they can grow some here and there and whatever, but brethren, they're not creating anything. And Yahweh creates things by the power of his word. By the power of his word. Blessed be Yahweh, verse 6, because he's heard the voice of my supplication. Yahweh is my strength and my shield. My heart trusted in him, and I am helped. Therefore, my heart greatly rejoices. Brethren, I tell you, I just love to look at the creation. Right now, we're in the spring, and you run up and down the highway, and Yahweh knows how to decorate the fields, just the most beautiful flowers and the green grass and everything. And it's all alive. It's all living. All those things that men have made, they're dead. They're dead works. They can't reproduce. They can't die out in the winter and come back in the spring. They can't blossom and bloom like a flower. They can't be fertilized and bring forth seed. Huh. Save your people and bless your inheritance. Feed them also and lift them up forever. Chapter 29, verse 1. Give unto Yahweh, O ye mighty, give unto Yahweh glory and strength. Give unto Yahweh the glory due unto his name. There's a lot of people who claim that they teach from the scriptures, right? They claim they teach from the scriptures, but they won't glorify his name. They resist his name. They resist the true names. They resist the name Yahweh. They resist the name Yahshua. Worship Yahweh in the beauty of holiness, brethren. I'm telling you, Yahweh is so beautiful. He's so beautiful. Look at the creation that we live in. Look at the magnificent creation. It is so awesome. It's awesomely made. And brethren, I'm telling you, it takes a great deal of intelligence just to be able to look into it, to kind of halfway figure out what it is and how it works. And yet, those who can look into it, they get microscopes and they learn about laws and they learn about chemistry, they learn about biography, they learn about physics and all those things. It's important. Truly it is. But all they can do is learn about it. And they should, brethren, be standing aside in awe at it. Glorifying the great creator for what he has the power to do. And yet, brethren, I looked here the other day and do you realize that there's 3 different webs? There's the surface web. That's the web I'm always on, and probably most of us. Then there's the deep web. And the deep web has all kinds of records, has medical records and all kinds of stuff in that you can't get into it unless you have, you got to have ID, passwords, and all kinds of stuff. Of course, I got to have passwords to get on the surface too, but to go deeper, and I don't want to go deeper. And then there's the dark web. 3 different steps in the dark web. You don't want to go there. You don't even want to think about going there. I mean, and that's what we do, brethren. We're living on the surface of this earth. And we're looking at the surface of the earth, but we're just looking at the outside. It's not that I don't want to go real deep into everything. I mean, when you get, like they're going deep into quarks and all kinds of different things, atoms and then quarks and all that, and they just keep going down and down and down until you finally get so deep you can't go any deeper. But there is something else there. We live on the surface. We look at things on the surface. In looking at things on the surface, we take things for granted. But we do need to look a little bit deeper into Yahweh's creation. How does the blood work? How does the heart work? How does the brain work? Yeah, sometimes they don't. So it says, the voice of Yahweh is upon the waters. The El of glory thunders. Yahweh is upon many waters. The voice of Yahweh is powerful. The voice of Yahweh is full of majesty. The voice of Yahweh breaks the cedars. Yea, Yahweh breaks the cedars of Lebanon. He makes them also to skip like a calf. He can do so much with his voice, brethren, because he created us by the power of his voice. Lebanon, he makes them to skip like a calf. Verse 6, Lebanon and Syrian like a young unicorn. The voice of Yahweh divides the flames of fire. And it wasn't there on the day of Pentecost, uh, there was the Holy Spirit rested upon the apostles, and it looked like flames of fire. The voice of Yahweh shakes the wilderness. Yahweh shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of Yahweh makes hinds to calve and discovers the forest. And in his temple does everyone speak of his glory. Yahweh sits upon the flood. Yea, Yahweh sits king forever. Yahweh will give strength unto his people. Yahweh will bless his people with peace. That's how powerful the voice of Yahweh is, brethren. It's so awesome. But look at this. Let's go to Hosea chapter 4. Because this is an indictment to our people. It's an indictment against Israel. And it's an indictment against our own people today. Hosea 4, verse 1. Hear the word of Yahweh, you children of Israel. For Yahweh has a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of Elohim in the land. Whose fault would that be? I mean, people should be hungry and thirsting for the word of Yahweh, for the truth, and for the light of his word, and for hope. Hope. There's so many people in this world that have no hope because they've been fed a line of bull. They've been taught that we evolved and there's no purpose. If there's no purpose, then we're not here. There's nothing. But Yahweh has purpose. It's just these educated fools, these educated idiots who declare that we were made for no purpose. And your life is really for no purpose. You'll just live your life and you'll die, and that's it. That's not what Yahweh says. Yahweh is the one who created. And you know what? For those people that want that, let them have it. Let them have it. But I want to serve Yahweh. I want to love Yahweh. I want to love Yahshua. I want to serve them. I'm rejoicing in them. I believe in them till the day I die. That's what I want. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out and blood touches blood. That's the world we live in. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwells therein shall languish with the beast of the field and with the fowls of heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. And guess what? The catches are getting smaller and smaller all the time. Yet let no man strive nor reprove another, for your people are as they that strive with the priest. Therefore shall you fall in the day, and the prophet also shall fall with you in the night, and I will destroy your mother. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Guess what, brethren? I just got a message here, and it says this message is held for review. They're going to review it and probably not allow it to be posted, possibly. But those people who are able to review, well, they'll deny the Creator. They'll deny him. And they'll be just like these people here. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because you have rejected knowledge. I will also reject you, that you shall be no priest to me, seeing you have forgotten the law of your Elohim. I will also forget your children. And that's to all of you who are going to be reviewing this message. to see whether it can be put on or not. Hey, we live in America. We have a constitution, and the constitution grants us, actually guarantees us freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. So some people could be liable for lawsuits, right? Let's go to Hebrews. Brethren, here's what we got to do. This is the Sabbath. This is a memorial to creation. And in observing the Sabbath, we need to keep looking back to Yahweh. This is something, like I was saying, when I was a young man, I wasn't taught how to respect Yahweh. Hebrews 11. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of Yahweh, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. In other words, brethren, when I look at that, we're made of things that we can't see. Atoms, quarks, things like that. We can't see them. But what it takes is a conglomeration of these things together that brings us to the point of where we come together as a living person. Hey, all you big rich men out there who think you're so mighty and so powerful, and you can keep people from speaking to other people, especially over your internet. I feel sorry for you, because you deny the Creator and you trust in yourselves. You trust in yourselves. You trust in and you worship the works of your own hands. And there's a Creator that's going to deal with us all one day. And I guarantee you, you need to change so He'll deal with you in mercy and not in vengeance. Psalms 33. I've used these and I've gone to these scriptures many times, brethren. But sometimes we need to take a Sabbath and we need to remember these things, don't we? Rejoice in Yahweh, O ye righteous, for praise is comely for the upright. Praise Yahweh. Praise Yahweh with harp. I wish I was a musician so I could play a harp or a guitar or piano. Well, piano wouldn't work in here. Guitar would. Or maybe a little harp. Sing unto him with psaltery of an instrument of 10 strings. Wow. Guitar doesn't have that many strings, does it? Piano's got a lot of strings. Sing unto him a new song. Play skillfully with a loud noise, for the word of Yahweh is right, and all his works are done in truth. He loves righteousness and judgment. The earth is full of the goodness of Yahweh. By the word of Yahweh were the heavens made, and all the host of them by the breath of his mouth. What rich man has the powerful enough breath that he can create heavens? They can't even get into the heavens. Get up into the atmosphere, above the atmosphere of the earth. Maybe they can send something to the moon, and maybe they've sent men to the moon and been no further. No further. Can't even breathe up there. Get out there where you don't have any pressure and you blow up, blow to pieces. because you don't have, we've got 15 pounds per square inch uh, holding us together. But this is the power of Yahweh. By the word of Yahweh were the heavens made, and all the host of them by the breath of his mouth. Who can do that? Only Yahweh. Bless him and praise him. He gathers the waters of the sea together as an heap. Only he can do that. He lays up the depths in storehouses. Let all the earth fear Yahweh. That's where wisdom and true wisdom and knowledge begin. It's right there, fearing Yahweh. Let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of him, for he spoke, and it was done. He commanded, and it stood fast. Man, you know. Oh, and yeah, let's just go over here to John 1:1. In remembrance, because we know, brethren, by the word of Yahweh, all these things, and we know that Yahshua, according to John, is the word of Yahweh. And sadly, brethren, there are people, even in the assemblies, who do not believe that Yahshua pre-existed, but it says so right here. It says so right here. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. Or you could say that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Yahweh, and the Word was Yahweh. The same was in the beginning with Yahweh, with Elohim. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was light, and the light was the light of men, and that light shines in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it or overcame it not. So in the beginning was the Word, and that Word is Yahshua, the Messiah. The same came, there was a man sent from Elohim, verse 6, whose name was Yohanan, or John. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. That the true light, which enlightens every man, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. Now, brethren, how can anybody get past that verse right there? He was in the world, and the world was made by him. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of Elohim. And brethren, that's what we want to be. We want to be B'nai Ha-Elohim. We want to be the sons of Elohim. Even to them that believe on his, look at this, on his name. What is his name? I had a guy that sent me a message. He's from the Philippines, but he was rebuking a Baptist minister who was calling people who are in the sacred names Satanist. Well, I'm going to look at that message, and I'm going to have to do something about that myself. Which were born not of blood, nor of the will of flesh, nor of the will of man, but of Yahweh. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory as the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. That's Yahshua the Messiah, brethren, in Hebrews chapter 1. Hebrews chapter 1. Elohim, or Yahweh, who at sundry times and in divers manners spoke in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, has in these last days spoken unto us by his Son. These last days spoken to us by his Son, whom he has appointed heir of all things, by whom he made the worlds. By whom he made the worlds. In, by, through Yahshua the Messiah, his son. So, brethren, today is the Sabbath day. The Sabbath is a memorial to creation. It's a memorial to our Creator. And so we need to remember our Creator. And we need to honor our Creator. And we need to quit working or worrying about men. What did Joshua say? Don't fear them who, once they take your life, they can't do anything else to you. Fear him who can destroy both your life, your vitality, your body, and your soul in Gehenna fire. Fear him. Remember him. Brethren, so many of our young people are born in this world without any purpose. I know my daughter Rachel is dealing with a young lady right now who is on the verge of committing suicide because she doesn't understand that Yahweh brought her into this world and he's got a fantastic plan and purpose for her. Just like all of us and all of our children out there and brethren, get it into your children's minds that they are here for a purpose. Yahweh has a plan for them. And that plan is beyond anything we can even think of today. It's going to be so marvelous, so awesome. Look, if Yahweh can create everything that we're living in, create the earth, the grass, the water, the trees, give us the air to breathe, give us the laws that help us to be able to live and move and walk and work. That's Yahweh, brethren. And if it's this life is fantastic. No, sure, it's a life of ups and downs, good things and bad things, good feelings and pain. That's what this world is. But there's a better world ahead, a far better world ahead. And Yahweh has a plan and a purpose for each and every one of us. And you're going to be so happy and you're going to be so satisfied and you're going to be so fulfilled. We should not ever even be exalting ourselves above others because he knows what is best for you. He knows what is best for me. And he'll make those things happen to where you'll be so happy and you'll be so satisfied and you'll be so full of peace and rest and joy and rejoicing. Fullness of life. That's what Yahweh is bringing about. Yeah, we got a lot of pain, a lot of aches and so forth, a lot of grief, and we lose a lot of our relatives, our mothers, our fathers, and sometimes our children, and cousins, and brothers and sisters. But brethren, Yahweh has a plan even yet for them, even as he's got a plan for you. He's the creator. You've got to look to him. You've got to remember him. You've got to trust in him because he's still in the act of creating. He says, behold, I'm creating a new heavens and a new earth. And the old heavens and the old earth are not even going to be remembered. We're not even going to want to remember it. Man. Just worship Yahweh, remember him, and remember he's the creator, and the Sabbath is set aside as a memorial to his creation so that we can look back to him and we can see what he did in creating. And he doesn't do anything in vain, brethren. He does everything for a purpose. Man is the one who's so vain, can't even think ahead, can't even look ahead, has to deny the very plan of Yahweh. So, brethren, have an awesome Sabbath. Remember your Creator. Remember Yahweh. Remember Yahshua, and worship them and love them and adore them and bless them, brethren. And rejoice. If you're blessed to be able to be with someone, we're going to travel tomorrow to Detroit, Texas, and we'll be fellowshipping with the Williams and Powell family. And so we won't be having services tomorrow. That's the reason why I wanted to come on tonight and give something for this evening or even tomorrow. But brethren, remember your Creator and rejoice before Him and stand in awe of His great, magnificent, and wondrous works. May you be blessed. Have a tremendous and blessed Shabbat. So I want to close with prayer. Father Yahweh, thank you so much once again for this up and coming Sabbath. It's still, Father, it's still daylight out there, so it's not even the Sabbath time yet. But thank you, Father in heaven, that you are the Creator and that you have such a fantastic plan for each and every one of us, that Father in heaven, once this life is over and you bring us into the world tomorrow, into the next life, things are going to be so awesome, so marvelous, so wondrous, that the things that we suffer in this day and age are going to be nothing in comparison. They're going to be nothing, Father, because the joy and the rejoicing of that which is to come, you're the great Creator. You've created this creation, and Father in heaven, you're still in the process of creating. We thank you for that. We praise you for that. And we thank you and praise you for your Son, Yeshua. And we just ask you now, Father in heaven, to be with us, to place your blessings upon us and help us to enter into the Shabbat with minds that are encouraged, with minds that are lifted up, with lives that are built up, Father in heaven, in, by, and through the power of your Ruach, your Spirit. And we give you thanks and praise and ask these things and ask your dismissal now, in, by, and through the name of your Son, Yeshua HaMashiach. Hallelujah. Amen. Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.